everybody, welcome back. It's been a little while since my last video, but I'm happy to be here again making another video for you. Today I want to talk about pre-trips. Pre-trips are one of the most vital components to a driver's job every day. And by doing a thorough and complete pre-trip, not only do you help improve your safety, you're also going to help eliminate DOT risks and citations, and you're going to keep yourself on the road, out hauling loads where you're really going to be making your money. I'm going to go through my routine as a driver for a pre-trip every day. I'm going to make sure that you see it in as real time as possible and show that it can be done in 10 minutes or less. Okay, hold up. Sitting here editing this, I talk far too much for me to fit this into 10 minutes. If you take all the video, you cut out all the explanation, all the extra talking, you can see that the pre-trip can totally be done in 10 minutes or less. But trying to teach it to somebody else like I'm doing here takes close to 30 minutes. The key items, as well as many other items that are just going to help make things easier, make things more efficient for you each and every day. Let's get into it. Alright, we're going to start in the cab. We've got to log in to our truck computer, get our log started, and make sure that this pre-trip is properly documented. Now, walking up to any vehicle, whether it's on your pre-trip or throughout the day, you want to be looking under the truck. You want to look under your wheels. You want to look under the different components that might be leaking or dripping. This close to the vehicle, I can't see under the truck. But when I walked up from my pickup truck, I had a clear view underneath the engine and the transmission. That's where you're going to be looking for puddles, wires, hoses, anything hanging down. Secondly, we're driving hazmat vehicles, so we always want to be on the lookout for some kind of malicious device that's out here to harm our vehicle. It could be something simply to give us flat tires and slow us down, all the way up to extreme situations where maybe this is some kind of terrorist device, right? But you want to stay vigilant. You always want to look at every component, know your equipment, know what should be there and what shouldn't be there. Let's start in the truck. Alright, inside the truck, we can turn the power on, make sure that the truck's got power. We're good. We're not going to start it up yet, but because we haven't checked the fluids, but we can log into the PeopleNet device. Alright, now that we're all logged in the PeopleNet device, we'll turn on all of our lights, and we'll get out of the truck, start doing our external pre-trip. Alright, we're logged in, we got our lights on, we'll start doing the external inspection. We're going to start here from the driver door, work our way down the driver's side of the truck, around the back, up the passenger side, through the engine compartment, back inside the truck to finish up the inspection. We need a few things to do this inspection. I like to have some gloves and a rag to make sure we can wipe off lights, different things, make sure we got a lot of visibility. We're also going to have some kind of tire thumper. If we can use a tire gauge, if we've got all the little bleed through caps, that's great. But we can also use a thumper to make sure we're checking them. First thing we can check here in the battery box. Now, notice that for many things, I take off one glove. These gloves are dirty. They've got oil on them, grease, diesel, stuff like that. So, take off one glove, use that to handle some of the items so that you don't have grease all over the truck. Helps keep the truck look much cleaner, okay? First thing we can look at down here in the battery box. We can look at the batteries. Quick look at them, shows the hold down. Now, I've already looked, so I knew a couple of issues that we're gonna find with this truck, and I wanna make note of them. These are common issues, especially with these Western Stars. These bolts get loose, same with the one down here. You can see it rattling a little bit. A quick couple turns with a wrench gets that all straight. These bolts also fall out quite often, so we check that, make sure that's secure. We wanna look at the grommets on the steps. make sure that they're tight. This one can be tightened up because this is what, these steps are what keep us secure getting in and out of the cab. If those are loose, if these steps are loose and gonna fall off, we could likely have a fall out of the truck because of that. So we will note that those bolts are loose and we will get those tightened up. Okay, the next thing on a crew truck, we've got our air lines. We can hit those real quick, drain those out. Put this down there. We're gonna open up our shaker box. Combo should be locked. Open this up. Okay, inside here we want to be looking for the centrifuge. Make sure that we've got a wrench. Ideally we want a crescent wrench so it doesn't chew up the valves. We've got seals, we've got solvent, we've got the fittings. We've got our gauge tray of equipment here. We got our thief, our wood back, our gauge tape. Always want to pull these out. Make sure that the hydrometers are good, they're not broken. And you want to check your 3 sizes, right? So this one, you can see 51, 41, and 61. So that way we've got everything we need to cover it. On many of our trucks too, we'll notice the case has been engraved with the truck number. That way we know this set belongs to this truck. We'll pull these out, make sure that they're all good. These are vital for our testing of the crude oil, so we want to make sure that those are all intact and ready to go. Okay, we got our thermometer, we've got our beaker, we've got some spare diapers for spills and for drips, got baby powder. So everything looks good in here, we're good. For right now, we're gonna leave that open, and we're gonna come back and just turn it on as one of the last steps, okay? Let's move on down the truck. Okay, moving on down the truck, we've got our trailer markings, okay? We've got our nameplate and all the manufacturer's information there. We might have stickers here. On this trailer, they're over here on the front. So we can look at those stickers, verify that our dates are good, everything's there. We're gonna confirm that again with our paperwork in the trailer box. Back here, we can check our rig, we can check our trailer valve is closed, our emergency valve operates, and it's also labeled. The Titan's working as well, okay? We're looking at our fenders, we're looking at our hose, we're looking for any obvious kinks, damage, or issues. We're looking at our tires, okay? Okay, so we checked our tires for any uneven wear. We're also going to make sure that they're all at 6/30 seconds or more. Thumbing them to make sure that they're all pressured up. Okay, moving down the truck some more. We've got our API valve here. We want to make sure that the handle is closed. We want to make sure that the cap is on, the ladder is secure. We also want to make sure that our vent line is capped and the vent is closed. All these items can be checked. We've got placard here, so we want to make sure it's clean. It should be bright red. The number should be clear, and we want to have it all red with the 3 on the bottom. We have our flasher running here on the side. We can also look up here to the tail of the truck and make sure that those lights are all functioning correctly there. We should have our hazards on, and we should be able to see them flashing as we run around the truck. We also want to look at our hose and look back in this direction to see if there's any other visible damage that we might see from there. Okay, we'll check our gauge. We can also check our trailer, make sure that it's empty and there's no major retain from our last shift or driver. All right, we checked our vent. We've got our hose, we've got our shovel here. We want to make sure that the shovel is secure and it's not rubbing up against the trailer. We've got our box. We can check our box. Make sure that we've got an assortment of fittings that we need. We've also got our bucket, and we've got our trailer paperwork in there. Again, we take our gloves off, pull out our trailer paperwork, and we will check trailer paperwork for this vehicle. Make sure that we've got the right trailer on the right paperwork. We'll make sure that everything's documented and go through there. Okay? This paperwork is a little damaged. We're going to need to replace this. This should be in some kind of weatherproof container so that it doesn't get damaged in the rain. Okay, we're back here to the end of the trailer. You want to look in between the fenders, and we're looking for the frame bolts. Okay, we look for those frame bolts to make sure that they're all in place. We're going to check our trailer tires. Okay, checking those. That inside tire looks a little bit low. Now, when we first walk up to the truck, I noticed that the airbags are all down on the trailer. That's a first sign that there's probably a slow air leak somewhere within the system. That's something to keep in mind and be unaware of as we're doing the pre-trip and as we're working the truck throughout the day. Here we have the auto inflators. When we air up the truck, we'll check to make sure the auto inflator system is running correctly. While back here looking at the tires, we're also looking at the same thing we did on the front, and we're looking at underneath the trailer. See if there's anything out of the ordinary. Hoses, wires, items hanging down, items out of the ordinary, okay? We're checking those tires. We're looking for uneven wear, 4 to 6/30 seconds wear, and making sure that everything's compliant. Okay, back of the truck, we want to check our lights, okay? We should have 2 running lights plus the flashers on the outsides, so we want to check those. We want to check our mud flaps, make sure that they're secure and they're all the way to the ground. Okay, make sure that we don't have more than roughly 6 inches of clearance between the ground and the bottom of the mud flaps. We're again looking at our placard. We want to make sure that the placard is clear, it's bright red, and the numbers are all visible. We want to make sure that the numbers match the shipping BOL and the shipping paperwork that we have in the cab of the truck. Here we can check our fire extinguisher. We can make sure that it's charged. We can also check our inspection dates. Okay, down the passenger side. Coming down the passenger side of the truck, again, we're checking our tires, looking for even wear. We're checking our frame bolts, checking to make sure that the hose tube is secure, fenders are secure, everything's good there. At this point, we can actually go under the truck and look back underneath. Underneath the truck, we can be checking our shocks, our airbags. We're looking for hoses, wiring, anything hanging down. We're looking for leaks on the shocks. We also start looking at our brakes. Brakes can also be inspected from the back of the truck, which I'll show it here in a second. Here is the auto inflator system. We see that the valve is on, it's all hooked up, and we're good to go. Alright, checked underneath the trailer. Come back here, we've got another light here. We've got our placard. Make sure that's clean. We've got an API head here. We want to make sure that the cap is on, the valve's closed, everything looks good. We look at our belly line, make sure that, again, from this side, there's no obviously damage, cracks, issues, or anything there. We'll keep working on the passenger side. Check our landing gear, make sure that our landing gear is up, make sure that our hose is secure. We're looking here, we can see the brakes, we can see the shocks, We can see the drive line. We can see a lot of components right here at the tail end of the truck. So we're making sure those are all good. Make sure that our brakes are within tolerance. If we have a flashlight, we can make sure we can see real clearly and visually inspect these components to make sure that they're all good to go. Checking our tires again. Everything's looking good. Checking our fifth wheel. We're checking our fifth wheel plate bolts. When we look at our rims, we're looking for anything noticeable in the lug nuts. If any of the lug nuts have come loose, you'll start to see rust show from behind them. So you want to look for that too. Again, it comes down to knowing your equipment, looking for things out of place. If it wasn't like that, the last time you looked at it, well, why? What's happening? Why is it moving? Is it loose? Is it damaged? All those things need to be thoughts going through your head as you pre-trip your truck. We have our last placard here. Again, always good to give it a good little wipe down. Make sure that it is bright red, white letters or white numbers, excuse me, black numbers on white background. The 3 is in white. Everything is good there. Okay, now we come to the back of the tractor. Looking at the back of the tractor, we want to look at the air lines. Okay, we want to make sure that the air lines are up, the electrical lines are secured, everything is good to go. Here we can see our VK inspection stickers, so we want to make sure that all of our 1-year and 5-year tests are all within expiration date. Okay, we can look underneath the back of the cab. This is obviously a sleeper, so it extends out further, but by looking in here, we get our flashlight out, we can see the drive line, we can see the air filter. Okay, we're looking at the exhaust hose clamps, looking at the drive line, make sure nothing's touching on the drive line. We can also look at the fuel tank straps, make sure that those aren't wearing. Sometimes, especially off-road conditions, we will shake the truck enough that the tanks will get loose. They'll slide. This tank might slide far enough back to contact this box. When those two items are touching and they're shaking down the road, you'll quickly wear a hole in the fuel tank. That is several $1,000s to replace the fuel tank. It becomes a very expensive repair very quickly. We have another fire extinguisher back here. Take our fire extinguisher off. Okay. Okay, this one, we can see here, the gauge is good, the inspection date's good, but we're missing a pin. So in transit, the pin fell out. So we'll need to make sure that's corrected before we start off on the day. Continuing down the truck, we're looking at our steps, passenger steps, make sure they're secure. Air cleaner's secure. We're looking at our lights. We got a marker light as well as the flashers inside. We're looking at our steer tires. We're looking at our hubs. We're looking for any signs of leaks, damage, fluid, anything like that. We're also checking the fluid level of the hubs. Take your glove off again. Take your straps off your hood. We'll start opening the hood to do the engine compartment inspection. Okay, we've got our hood straps off. We can check our headlights. We've got our headlights here. I forgot to turn the high beams on. We'll do that here in a second. Turn the high beams on. These Western Stars, the grills get loose often, so it's always good to check. The grill should be secure. If it's not, you really need to get that fixed. When these are loose, they'll actually contact the radiator. When they contact the radiator, they'll start to wear a hole in the radiator. Again, that is a long-term issue that turns into a very expensive repair. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars to change out the radiator that was caused by something as simple as a small bolt that fell out, allowing the grill to be loose. So be conscious of these things and make sure that you bring them up and get them repaired quickly. Again, no glove. Okay, we've got the hood open. There's many things in here to check, but really, in the engine compartment, we're looking for oil, coolant, different items that are signals of other issues, right? At a glance, everything looks good, just generally speaking, but you can also gain a lot by just putting your hands on things, right? Like the shocks up here can sometimes be loose, okay? Just by putting your hands on them, feeling if they're secure will tell you a lot. Same with these support bars, right? They shouldn't be moving around. We look up here to the coolant, we can see that when we shake the truck, the coolant level is good to go. Our fenders are good to go. Everything is secure and in place. We look down here to see our belts. Are our belts good? Are they in place? Are they showing any kind of wear or tear or missing sections? All those are going to be signals that that belt is going out, or maybe one of the tensioners or pulleys is starting to fail. So we're looking at that. We're looking at band clamps, right? Band clamps on the air intake. We're looking at any kind of hoses. Okay, we look back here to the motor to look for any kind of drips, leaks, anything that's giving us a sign of an issue. Okay, now I'll show you here. There's a very small, what looks to be a coolant leak on the coolant line off the radiator. Those are things where you really have to get in there, pay attention to what you're looking for. Maybe this truck just went through the rain. Maybe they've got some water on there, but more often than not, having water and things up here on those components, that's your signal that there's a leak and something that needs to be repaired. All right, here on the driver's side of the engine compartment, we can check all our main fluids. We've got to check our engine oil. This is where the rag comes in really handy. Make sure we're keeping that clean, wipe it off, get a good. Okay, we're good, we got oil. We're looking to see, okay, so we've checked our two main fluids, coolant and our oil. We're looking, we can see our fuel filter here. Make sure that the fuel filter housing, the fuel level isn't too high in the fuel filter housing. We're checking our shocks. We're looking at our brakes. We're looking at the leafs on the springs. We're looking at the motor as a whole. Again, leaks, oil, coolant, anything that shows you there might be something that's loose or having an issue. We're looking at our power steering fluid. Okay. Look at our power steering fluid. Okay. That's low. We're going to need to add some coolant there. We're going to need to add some power steering fluid. The other thing, on these Western Stars specifically, these front hinge bolts go out. So it's always good to give the hood a little shake. Just make sure that those bolts are secure. You don't want one of those bolts to fail the next time you open the hood, and the hood will kind of jam off and fall off a bit. So that's all good things. Supports, everything. Make sure you don't have things wiggling and shaking, moving that could be rubbing another component, causing an abrasion and causing other issues. On this one, everything looks good. All right, we're back in the truck, and we can finalize our inspection in here. We want to check the air brakes, make sure that they're working correctly. So we want to turn the truck on, listen for any alarms that come on here. Okay, here we've got air, so we're going to set our trailer brakes. You hear that? Release our truck brakes. Okay, and let's pump the brakes down. Okay, low air alarm comes on. Perfect. Pumping down. Perfect. Our parking brake set there. So we can start the truck up. Okay. While we're building air up, we can check our permit book. We got a cover sheet, we got our people net book. We got all of our permits and inspections, our overweight permit, IFTA, insurance. We've got several different training and inspection guides on our hoses. So we can go through that, make sure that's all good as our air comes up. Make sure that we've got our last shipping BOL. Make sure that's available. Make sure that we got our 3 books for that. Make sure that they're all within arm's reach while seat belted in the driver's seat. While we're doing this, we'll let the air finish coming up. We'll check our dispatch on our people net. We'll go through any issues there. Make sure everything comes up. Watch our gauges. Make sure that we're all good. Once this all comes back up and we got air in the system, we can then get out and finalize our inspection on the outside. Listen for any audible air leaks with the truck off. Make sure that everything's good to go. We can get our personal effects from our car. Make sure that everything here in the cab is what we need and good to go. We also want to make sure that we've got our paper logbook in the glove book, our emergency response, our incident packet. Make sure that's there. Make sure we got some spare fuses and things like that in the glove box. Otherwise, there, low air alarm went off. So otherwise, we are good to go. Here we can see the centrifuge is on. We've got our temps here. If we open this up, we can see that the centrifuge is spinning. All right, we're making our one last walk around the truck. Everything's full of air, everything's charged. We've checked our lights, our tires, and many of the components that are required by DOT. As we do this last walk around, we want to be very careful to listen for any kind of air leaks. We're listening to make sure that anything audible is caught and reported so that we can get it fixed before a DOT officer was able to cite us. Again, the back of the truck is a great place to get visibility on your brakes. Do a thorough brake inspection. If you need to crawl under there a little bit, that's what you need to do. Okay? Don't hear anything, which is great. That's exactly what we want to hear. We just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. Nothing's falling underneath our tires. Everything's good. No audible air leaks. Everything's been secured while we were inspecting it. Our hood latches are in place. Everything's been secured and ready to go. Fire extinguishers are good. Everything's good. And now, we're gonna go on with our day. Thank you very much for giving me your time and attention. I appreciate it. Hopefully you got some value out of this, and hopefully your next pre-trip is just gonna be a little bit better, a little bit safer, and a little bit more efficient, so you can be out there making that money. Thank you.